Does your PS4 Pro sound like this? If it does, and you are not afraid of getting your hands a little dirty, you're watching the right video. Because while the PS4 Pro was never exactly a quiet console, it should not sound like it's preparing for takeoff every time you start a game. Sony's latest comments about moving away from physical media reminded me just how much I like actually owning my games. So I searched the internet for the cheapest working PS4 Pro I could find, and this is what I ended up with. So let's fix the reason why it was so cheap right away. We'll start by removing the hard drive. Next I removed the warranty void sticker, but that's pretty much it for the bottom side for now, because as a next step I'm going to remove the top cover. Next step is to remove the power supply. After that we turn the console over and remove the bottom panel. This may feel tricky because the clips are going to want to snap back when you move to the next one. But even that can be quite easily overcome when you pull on the bottom cover upwards with one hand while using tweezers or something else that is thin enough to pry out the clips. Now we need to remove the two screws that are holding the PSU still in the case. And now the power supply slides out rather easily. Just pay attention to this little cable so that you don't tear it off. Now with the PlayStation with the bottom side up, we remove all the screws. Soon you will be seeing switching to a different screwdriver because the longer screws or the next screws are Torx. And as I said, remove all the screws. Do not forget this one, as I did. Nonetheless, we still need to remove all the cables and connectors that are connected to the mainboard. Now the first course of action is going to be removing the old thermal pads and roughly cleaning it up. And now clean the residue of the thermal compound with isopropyl alcohol. Next we will need to do the same thing for the metal shielding, aka heatsink. next part leaving the chassis is going to be the main board, and we will start by removing the retaining bracket, aka pressure plate, of the APU. Now the main board is free. Judging by the thermal paste work here, I can already assume that there was at least one attempt of taming the temperatures of this PS4 Pro. As before, we will clean all of this up with the help of IPA and some cotton pads. With the APU cleaned up, it's ready for fresh thermal material. And since I'd like to keep this new to me PlayStation running for years to come, I decided to use a high quality phase change thermal pad from a reputable manufacturer. You can see me cutting it to size with scissors using the edge of the APU as a guide. The pad came straight from the freezer, which is not only the recommended way to handle it, but also makes it much easier to work with, especially if the room temperature is on the warmer side. Removing the top protective film can be a little tricky, even if you've done everything correctly. You can see me struggling with it a bit here, but don't worry too much if the pad doesn't look perfectly afterwards. The heatsink will press it down once everything is reassembled. And this is the result that I was talking about. The surface is a little wrinkly, but really do not worry about it too much, the heatsink will take care of it. What I do recommend though is trimming off any excess around the edges. For that, I'm using a pair of tweezers, gently pressing them against the edge of the chip to cut away the material that sticks out. Now, it is not strictly necessary to remove the excess, and it is absolutely electrically safe to leave the excess in there, but it just looks a little more professional with the excess removed. And as we did for the RAMs and for the APU, we now need to clean off the old thermal material from the VRMs. For the VRMs, I'm going to be using a 1 mm thick thermal pad, also from a reputable manufacturer. I have seen this happening way too many times, so please do not forget removing the top peel from the thermal pad. Now you can see me cleaning the heatsinks for the VRMs. First I'm doing a mechanical cleaning, which is then shortly followed by the good old IPA on a cotton swab. And now is the time to start putting everything back together. We will start with the main board. Now we will start putting everything back together. Mainboard goes in first. While doing that, pay attention that you do not trap any cables between the mainboard and the metal shielding. Now you can see me doing a mistake. You do not have to repeat this one, but the mainboard should be locked in by the ports first and then hook in the top locating pin. In the next part you are going to see me doing something odd or maybe a little unusual, because I'm not going to be using only the thermal goo that was there before, but I am using a quality thermal paste and I'm applying it on all the RAM chips, and you are going to see in a bit why I'm doing it this way. Instead of filling the whole gap with thermal putty, I'm using copper shims with the thermal paste. Copper conducts heat much better, the paste takes care of the tiny surface imperfections, and the putty is only there to fill whatever gap is left and make sure everything makes proper contact. I prefer applying the putty to the heat shield instead of directly onto the copper shims, as it makes everything a little easier to position during reassembly. And here again I'm paying a good attention not to trap any cables between the metal shield and the mainboard. Before screwing the two halves of the metal shielding together, I route the cables into their approximate final position. After putting all the screws in, I can now get all the cables connected. We are now very close to the finish. The only last things that are missing is the PSU, is the hard drive, and the covers. Now, your mileage may vary, because I didn't have to do that, but this probably would be the best time to take the PlayStation out and blow all the dust out. After reassembling the covers and reinstalling the hard drive, I spent about a week actually using the PlayStation before recording this final test. What you're seeing there is essentially the same test as at the beginning of the video. The same game, roughly the same amount of time to boot and start playing, and the microphone level is set exactly to the same as before. I just muted the speaker. The hum you hear is the disk drive, which was not audible before due to the fan noise. The difference is that now the fan rarely becomes audible at all. I'd call that a success. I'll leave the rest of the video running without commentary so that you can hear the difference for yourself.